Hello everyone, I got a better microphone, but not in the way you'd expect. I'm using my phone, get it, phone, microphone, to record my voice after I record my screen, so you're not going to see my reactions in real time or anything like that, which kinda sucks. That being said, the audio quality is much better, so I'll keep doing this until I get an actual microphone, which may or may not happen. Anyway, on the screen you see me playing Square Clicker with all the new stuff I added. Pretty cool, huh? Those moving squares are really annoying, and the teleporting squares are annoyinger. Yes, I know that's not a word. Gameplay aside, I'll be showing a time lapse of me adding on to Square Clicker, programming more of it, along with commentary about what I added, even though my voice is probably really annoying. Without further ado, enjoy the time lapse. Programming Square Clicker, Day 1. Here you see a time lapse of me adding more to Square Clicker. I apologize for the video quality, but you should be able to kind of get what's going on at least. I guess it's intensive to take a high quality screenshot each second. So, first off, I added a bunch of upgrades, normal ones that increase the value of squares and stuff, and a special one for basic squares. There were two underpowered, and the game progressed really slowly, so I did two things. Number one, I made basic squares start off giving you 5 monies per click instead of 1, which helped a lot and made the game a lot more fun. Second, I added a special class of upgrades that made basic squares get more valuable as you clicked on them more, and I hope it doesn't make them too overpowered and that I struck a balance. So, what it does is that every time you click a basic square, the value of basic squares increases by 5% of the original value. No compound interest shenanigans or anything. And there were other upgrades that made it increase by 10% or 15%, and the highest went to 25%. I also fixed a few bugs involving the total money. There's an upgrade that gives you money when clicking on multi-squares, even if it isn't the one that finally kills it. However, the program didn't increment total money when you did that, which theoretically means that your current money could exceed your total money, quote-unquote. Although it would take a lot of work to get that to happen. I also overhauled the part of the program that processed the upgrades file to allow me to add more attributes to the upgrades. Before, each upgrade had 7 parameters, which it read from the file. If I wanted to add another parameter to upgrades, like if I wanted to draw a symbol on the upgrade tile, I'd have to redo the entire file. Now I can add parameters willy-nilly without having to change too much. So, I hope that feature that I added will be useful. Anyway, that's all for Square Clicker Programming Time-Lapse, Day 1. See you on Day 2. This is a time-lapse of the stuff I added to Square Clicker on Day 2, which wasn't actually the day after Day 1 because I was busy in between. Most of this will be adding more upgrades. Well, all of this will be me adding more upgrades. So first I added a bunch of stuff to camouflage squares and multi-squares that make them worth more, and I also added a dumb little story arc to multi-squares. So as you get more upgrades, it tells the story, which is that multi-squares explode when they're finally broken, so people turn them into weapons before someone finally pays you to stop making weapons out of them. I also added some upgrades to moving and teleporting squares. So there are now upgrades that make moving and teleporting squares slower, and after the last one, they're twice as slow as they originally were. And also, the upgrades that make moving squares worth more all say that moving squares contain some amount of energy, like a terawatt hour, and a statement like, that's enough to power a home for 2 weeks, or that's enough to power New York City for 3 days. Anyway, I have a bunch of time left in this time lapse, so I'll talk about my plans for the future of this game. Number 1, encrypt the save file so the user can't hack it as easily. If they have access to the program, they can decrypt the save file regardless, so it won't be that useful. Number 2, rebalancing the game and a bunch of playtesting, preferably by other people. Number 3, achievements, like for clicking 1,000 times or something. Pretty self-explanatory. Number 4, actual settings in the settings tab instead of just a boring little reset button, although I'm not quite sure what else there is to add. Number 5, nice little icons for upgrades, but I have no idea what those icons are gonna be. Number 6, golden scores that appear once in a while that also give you nice bonuses such as extra money. I might make them fade away if I do end up adding them, so the player has to pay attention. Number 7, a way to earn money while the game is closed, like in every other idle game. And number 8, which is the last one, sound effects or better graphics, because the current graphics suck. That's all. See you on day 3. Here's the time lapse for day 3, which was actually the day after day 2 this time. This one will be a bit shorter because I got interrupted halfway through the recording and stopped, and then when I came back I forgot to restart it. So first I actually added a function that encrypts and decrypts the save file for slightly more difficult hacking, so you'll have to do some work instead of no work when hacking yourself a bunch of money. Next, I finished the upgrades for moving and teleporting squares. So the backstory for removing squares involved blowing up planets, specifically Pluto, well, dwarf planets then, since the energy I claimed moving squares contained was absolutely ridiculous. The story for teleporting squares is equally ridiculous and involved teleporting successively larger objects using their teleporting abilities, culminating with the entire Earth. And finally, I did a bunch of playtesting of my own game and determined that the buff I added to basic squares, the one that made them more valuable every time you clicked it, was overpowered, at least for a little while, when they became the most valuable square by far. However, later in the game, each click will matter less and less since clicks improve the value linearly, while all the other upgrades are exponential, and a little knowledge of math will tell you that the exponential stuff will dominate the linear stuff. So that's all I have for day 3, and this time-lapse recording will probably be the last one before I release my video. And so that's that. Files are in the description below, and you can download them and play the game, provided you have Python 3.4 installed. Actually, just Python 3 in general might work, but I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions for Square Clicker, or for this channel in general, like a profile or cover pic, please tell me in the comments below. Finally, in the overused YouTube cliche, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next year when I'll have another time-lapse for all y'all. And yes, I do worship Cthulhu. Van gluri magona fa Cthulhu relia wagana go fatagan.